The phone rang at exactly 3:17 a.m., jolting me out of deep sleep. My wife Lisa was still sound asleep beside me, and I fumbled for my phone in the dark, heart racing because late-night calls never brought good news. The caller ID showed Marcus Johnson. I knew that name. Marcus worked with Lisa at the marketing firm downtown. They'd been on several projects together over the past year. But why was her coworker calling me at 3 a.m.? "Hello?" I whispered, trying not to wake Lisa. "Dan? This is Marcus from Lisa's office. I'm sorry to call so late, but I couldn't sleep and I need to tell you something." Marcus sounded drunk, his words slightly slurred, but there was something else in his voice. Guilt, fear. The voice of someone about to say something that would change everything. "What's wrong? Is Lisa okay?" "Lisa's fine. But Dan, man, I can't keep this to myself anymore. What I'm about to tell you is going to hurt, but you deserve to know." My blood turned to ice. I sat up in bed, moving carefully so I wouldn't disturb Lisa. "What are you talking about?" "Your wife, Lisa, she's been having an affair." The words hit me like the physical blow. "What?" "She's been seeing someone at work. For months. I've been covering for them, making excuses, and I can't do it anymore. My conscience is eating me alive." I looked over at Lisa, sleeping peacefully, her blonde hair spread across the pillow. The woman I'd been married to for 9 years, the mother of my 2 children, was supposedly having an affair. "Marcus, are you drunk?" "Yeah, I'm drunk. That's why I finally got the courage to call you. But I'm not lying, Dan. I wish I was." "Who is she seeing?" "Ryan Mitchell. He's the creative director. Started about 6 months ago during that big campaign they worked on together." Ryan Mitchell. I knew that name too. Lisa had mentioned him several times, usually in the context of work stories. He was divorced in his early 40s, apparently very talented and charismatic. Lisa had seemed impressed by him, but I'd never suspected anything romantic. "How do you know this?" "I've seen them together. Late nights at the office that weren't really about work. Hotel rooms during those supposed client meetings in other cities. Last week I walked in on them in Ryan's office after everyone else had left. Hotel rooms, client meetings." My mind started racing through Lisa's recent business trips. The conference in Atlanta, where she'd seemed unusually happy when she came home. The client presentation in Miami, where she'd extended her stay an extra night. The late nights at the office that had become more and more frequent. "Marcus, why are you telling me this now? Why not earlier?" "Because Ryan's my boss, man. Because Lisa begged me to keep quiet. Because I thought maybe it would end on its own and nobody would get hurt. But it's not ending. If anything, it's getting more serious." "What do you mean more serious?" "They're talking about her leaving you. About moving in together. Ryan's been apartment hunting, looking for places big enough for Lisa and her kids." "The kids?" "My kids. Emma, who was 7, and Jake, who was 5. They adored their mother, had no idea their family was about to be destroyed." "Dan, you still there?" "I'm here." My voice came out as a croak. "How long have you known?" "I suspected something for a couple months, but I knew for sure about 3 weeks ago. That's when I saw them kissing in the parking garage." 3 weeks. Marcus had known my wife was cheating on me for 3 weeks and said nothing. "Why now, Marcus? Why did you finally decide to call?" "Because tomorrow they're supposed to go to Chicago together for another fake business trip. 3 days at the Palmer house. And Lisa told Ryan she's going to tell you about the affair when she gets back. She's planning to ask for a divorce." My wife was planning to divorce me, and I was finding out from her drunk coworker at 3 a.m. instead of from her directly. "She's going to leave me. That's what she's been telling Ryan. I heard them talking about it in his office yesterday. She said she's been unhappy for years, that she's finally found someone who understands her." Unhappy for years. I thought about our marriage, tried to identify signs I might have missed. Lisa had seemed distant lately, less affectionate, more critical of small things. But we'd been together for 11 years total, married for 9. Every long-term relationship had rough patches. "Dan, I'm sorry. I know this is a lot to dump on you in the middle of the night." "Marcus, are you sure about this? Are you absolutely certain they're having an affair?" "I saw them together, Dan. Not just kissing. I saw Ryan's hand on her leg during a team meeting. I've seen the way they look at each other. And last Friday, when she said she was working late, I drove by the office around 9 p.m. and saw them leaving together, getting into Ryan's car." Last Friday. Lisa had come home at 11 p.m., said she'd grabbed dinner alone after finishing up a project. She'd seemed relaxed, happy even. Now I knew why. "There's something else," Marcus continued. "Ryan's been bragging about her to some of the other guys, talking about how she's way too good for her husband, how he can't wait to have her all to himself. The humiliation was almost worse than the betrayal. Not only was my wife cheating on me, but her lover was discussing our private life with coworkers, making fun of me behind my back. "I have to go," I said. "Dan, wait. What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Are you going to confront her?" I looked over at Lisa again. She'd shifted in her sleep and was now facing away from me. Even in the dark, I could see the curve of her hip, the familiar shape of her body that I'd been sleeping next to for 9 years. "I don't know," I repeated. "Listen, if you need proof, they're supposed to meet at Ryan's apartment tomorrow night to finalize their Chicago plans, 2247 Lincoln Avenue, apartment 4B. Marcus was giving me the address where I could catch my wife with her lover. "Why are you doing this? Why are you helping me?" "Because you seem like a decent guy, and what they're doing isn't right. I've got kids too, Dan. If my wife was cheating on me, I'd want someone to tell me." After Marcus hung up, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling for the next 3 hours. Lisa's breathing was steady and peaceful beside me, the sleep of someone with no idea their secret life was about to be exposed. I kept thinking about signs I might have missed. Lisa's new interest in going to the gym, the expensive lingerie I'd found in her drawer that I'd never seen her wear, her sudden enthusiasm for work events and office parties, the way she'd started dressing better, paying more attention to her appearance. At 6:30 a.m., Lisa's alarm went off. She woke up bright and cheerful, kissed me good morning, and started getting ready for work like it was any other day. "How did you sleep?" she asked, applying lipstick in the bathroom mirror. "Fine," I lied. "I'll be late tonight. We have a team meeting that might run long." Team meeting, code for planning her romantic getaway with Ryan. "What time do you think you'll be home?" "Probably around 9 or 10. Don't wait up." I watched my wife of 9 years lie to my face with complete ease. How long had she been this good at deception? After Lisa left for work and I dropped the kids at school, I called in sick and spent the day trying to process what Marcus had told me. I found myself looking through Lisa's things, searching for evidence I'd previously overlooked. In her jewelry box, I found earrings I'd never seen her wear. Expensive ones. In her closet, there were clothes with tags still on them, outfits that seemed too dressy for her usual work attire. In her car, I found a hotel keycard from the Atlanta trip she'd taken last month. Everything Marcus had told me was starting to make sense. At 7 p.m., I drove to Ryan's apartment building. I didn't have a plan, just a need to see for myself whether my wife was really there. I parked across the street with a clear view of the entrance and waited. At 7:45 p.m., Lisa's car pulled into the parking lot. She got out carrying a bottle of wine and an overnight bag, looking around nervously before walking into the building. My wife was spending the evening with her lover while telling me she was in a work meeting. I sat in my car for 2 hours, watching the lights in apartment 4B, knowing Lisa was up there making plans to leave me. Around 10 p.m. I drove home and waited. Lisa came home at 10:30, full of apologies about the meeting running late and stories about difficult clients that required extended discussion. She seemed relaxed, satisfied, like someone who'd spent a pleasant evening doing exactly what she wanted to do. "How was your day?" she asked, settling into bed beside me. "Fine," I said. "Lisa, we need to talk." Something in my tone made her freeze. "About what?" "About Ryan Mitchell." The color drained from her face. "What about him?" "About your affair, about Chicago, about your plans to divorce me." Lisa's face went through a series of expressions: shock, fear, calculation, and finally resignation. "How did you find out?" "Does it matter?" She sat up in bed, suddenly looking very awake. "Dan, I can explain." "Explain what? How you've been cheating on me for 6 months? How you've been lying to me every day? How you were planning to blindside me with divorce papers after your romantic getaway?" "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Lisa?" She was quiet for a long moment, and I could see her deciding how much truth to tell me. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she finally said. "Ryan and I were just working together and we became friends, and then you decided to have an affair." "I fell in love with him." The words hit harder than I'd expected, even though I'd known they were coming. "What about me? What about our marriage?" "Dan, we've been drifting apart for years. We're like roommates, not lovers. We don't talk anymore, we don't laugh together, we don't even fight. We just exist in the same house." "So instead of talking to me about it, you started sleeping with your coworker." "I tried talking to you. Remember when I suggested we go to counseling? You said we didn't need it. When I mentioned feeling disconnected from you, you bought us tickets to a basketball game." I remembered those conversations, but I'd remembered them differently. I'd thought I was being supportive, trying to address her concerns in practical ways. "Lisa, even if our marriage had problems, that didn't give you the right to have an affair." "I know, you're right, I handled this badly. How long were you planning to lie to me?" "I wasn't planning to lie forever. Ryan and I have been talking about how to handle this situation responsibly. Responsibly? You've been having an affair for 6 months. There's nothing responsible about that. Lisa started crying, but they seemed like tears of frustration rather than genuine remorse. Dan, I'm not happy. I haven't been happy in our marriage for a long time. Meeting Ryan made me realize what I've been missing. What have you been missing? Passion, excitement. Someone who sees me as more than just a mother and a household manager. I've never seen you as just a mother and household manager. When's the last time you surprised me with anything? When's the last time you planned a date or brought me flowers or told me I was beautiful? She was right, and that made it worse. I had gotten comfortable, taken her for granted, fallen into routines that left little room for romance or spontaneity. That still doesn't justify cheating. No, it doesn't. But it explains why I was vulnerable when Ryan started paying attention to me. What's the plan now? Are you leaving me for him? Lisa wiped her eyes and looked at me directly for the first time since the conversation started. Yes, I'm sorry, Dan, but yes, I want a divorce. What about the kids? We'll share custody. Ryan understands that Emma and Jake are my priority. Ryan's met our children? No, not yet. But he's excited to be part of their lives when the time is right. My wife had been planning a future that included our children living part-time with her boyfriend, and she'd never discussed it with me. Lisa, this is insane. You're talking about breaking up our family for someone you've known for 6 months. I've known him for over a year. We've been friends longer than we've been involved. You've been planning this for a year? Not planning exactly, but realizing that what Ryan and I have is real, and what you and I have isn't working anymore. We talked until 3 a.m., exactly 24 hours after Marcus's phone call had started this nightmare. Lisa was honest about the affair, about her feelings for Ryan, about her plans for divorce. But she was also honest about our marriage, about problems I'd been ignoring or dismissing. I don't want to hurt you, she said as we finally prepared to try to sleep. I know this is painful and humiliating, but staying in an unhappy marriage isn't good for any of us, including the kids. The kids are happy, our family is happy. The kids are happy because they don't know any different. But Dan, when's the last time you saw me truly happy? When's the last time you felt passionate about me, about us? I couldn't answer that question, and we both knew it. The divorce proceedings started 2 weeks later. Lisa moved into Ryan's apartment while we worked out custody arrangements and property division. The kids were confused and hurt, but they adjusted better than I'd expected. I found out later that Marcus had been struggling with whether to tell me for months. He'd finally called that night because he'd overheard Lisa and Ryan making detailed plans for their Chicago trip, including discussions about how Lisa would handle telling me she wanted a divorce. I couldn't let you be blindsided like that, Marcus explained when I thanked him later. You deserve to know what was coming. The 3 a.m. phone call that destroyed my marriage was also the phone call that saved me from a much more humiliating public revelation. Instead of being the last to know about my wife's affair, I was able to confront her privately and maintain some dignity through the divorce process. 6 months later, I started dating again. Jennifer was different from Lisa, more direct, more emotionally available, less likely to let problems fester without addressing them. Being with her helped me understand what Lisa had meant about passion and excitement. Lisa and Ryan got married a year after our divorce was final. They seemed happy together, and she was right that the kids adapted well to their blended family situation. I still don't know if I should be grateful to Marcus for that 3 a.m. phone call or angry that he waited so long to make it. But I do know that learning the truth, however painful, was better than living in ignorance. The call came at exactly the right time and exactly the wrong time. Right because it gave me the chance to confront Lisa before she blindsided me with divorce papers. Wrong because it shattered my belief that we had a solid marriage worth fighting for. But maybe that belief was already an illusion. Maybe the marriage had been over for longer than I wanted to admit, and Marcus's phone call just forced us all to stop pretending. Sometimes the truth comes at 3 a.m. through a drunk coworker who can't sleep because his conscience won't let him. Sometimes that's the only way the truth can come at all.